Hey, what's up, gang? So, tomorrow, it's currently the 12th, tomorrow's the 13th, and that's an Ultimate Cup. I'm going to be participating. I'm not super happy with this deck list, but I think it's going to be good into the meta to an extent. I'm guessing a lot of Numemon, Magnamon, and Demon Lords. And this deck, I think, is good against two of those decks. I think it's really good against Magnamon, as long as they don't pop off really early on. And it's really good against Numemon, I think, from all points in the game. So, depending on how things kind of go, I think this is a pretty solid choice into the meta. Kind of go over the deck list, and then I'll kind of try and explain my reasonings for certain cards as we go through them. And then I plan on making an update to this video, so a second one, kind of going over the list, and explain where things went good and where things may have gone bad. I'll also in this video try to tell you guys some small concerns that I have going forward with this deck. Starting off, playing 4 eggs. I've been trying out a bunch of different bottom ends, and I've still found myself falling in love with the Mother D Reaper engine. It's just really nice to get a body out really quickly that doesn't take slots in your main deck. Rookies are really good for cycling and stuff, but I just haven't found a ratio that makes it so that way my searchers are consistently hitting 2 cards every single time that make me feel happy. Moving on, we've got 4 Gigadramon. We're going with a bit more of a black base, which is making me a little sad. I want to add in another purple ace, because we're only playing 2 at the moment. But purple's kind of struggling when it comes to playable ace cards, which is really unfortunate. So we're playing a lot more of the black end bottom end rather than the purple bottom end. I'll go over what these cards do again, just in case, but I've made a lot of videos on this deck, so I won't go too in depth. So on play, search top 4, add a level 6 or higher, and then bob back the rest. End of turn, delete a Digimon you control, doesn't have to be this guy, to place a Dark Masters card in your breeding area, as long as the area is clear, which explains why we're doing no rookies. The Inheritables reboot, which comes up sometimes. Up next, we've got 3 Lady Devimon. Every time I go back to this deck, I take away more and more of the searchers, which is always super concerning because I think it makes the deck a little bit more bricky. But I think 3 Lady Devimon is fine, especially because I'm not playing that many purple aces. Retaliation can come up. You just play this because it's the best. It's like the second best searcher in the Dark Masters line, as well as it gives you the end of turn effect, which is really good. There's an argument that Scorpiomon is also as good as this. The problem with Scorpiomon is that it's blue, and this one is purple, and we have more purple bodies than we do blue bodies, so there's that. Followed by 3 Wisemon. On play, when Digivolving will never proc in this deck. It's literally not possible. Reveal the top 3 cards of your deck, add 1 purple or black Digimon card from among them to your hand, place the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order. Inheritable blocker. Blocker is so good. Oh my god, I love giving an Omnimon Zwart blocker. I love giving any of my aces blocker. Oh my god, it is so good. I love this card. It searches out your searchers. It searches out your utility cards. It searches out your big top end. As well as it lets you stack your deck. In top 3, you see an Omnimon Zwart and an Analog Youth, and you want to keep those on top, you absolutely can do so, because you can choose if you want to keep them on top or bottom in any order. Super good card. Only downside, no end of turn, but that's okay. It's still really good. Up next, we've got some utility cards. 2 Edamon. I want to play 4 of this card, because this card's really good. However, it's bricky, and you know what? I've cut it down to 2. On play with Digivolving, again, no when Digivolving effects will happen in this deck 9 out of 10 times for any of our level 5s. And by 9 out of 10, I mean 100%. You cannot Digivolve your level 5s in this deck. So just getting on play for 7, give one of your opponents minus 3 KDP, and then start of the main phase, they have to attack. And then opponent's turn, once per turn, when the opponent attacks, you can reveal the top 3 cards of your deck. Play out 1 black or yellow 3 play cost or less Digimon, and then trash the rest. You can sometimes activate this effect. The Inheritable can come up as a way to kind of put cards in trash for your Zwarts and for your Apocalypse. but other than that, it doesn't really matter too much. You mainly just use this as a way to proc your opponent's aces immediately, which is nice. Into our next utility level 5, and this is actually fresh, hot off the presses for the EX6, I think is what we're on right now. Set Raiji Ludomon. So it has a U-turn effect. When an effect adds this Digimon adds to this Digimon's Digivolution cards, it gains blocker and reboot until the end of your opponent's turn. You will never be doing that. But the inheritable effect matters and the hand effect matters. So main, by paying 2 memory and placing this card as the bottom of your Legend's Arm trait, or one of your level 5 Digimon, one of your opponent's Digimon, gains start of main phase Digimon attacks. Very similar to the Etamon, but it's for 2 costs. And I've experimented a lot with like the 1 cost option that does something similar, as well as the black hybrid Digimon that do some kind of similar stuff. I've stuck on this one though, because not only is it for 2, it's Digimon, it's searchable by the Wisemon, which is super nice, but also it has a wonderful inheritable. All turns, when the Digimon will be deleted, other than by your effects, by trashing 1 card of the Legend's Arm trait from the Digimon's Devolution cards to prevent the deletion. It's a protection. So for 1 memory, you get the options effect, but you also get another a protection for the Digimon that this card is underneath for another memory. It actually helps out in a lot of really tough matchups, like Demon Lords, for example, which I think is our worst matchup. I think comes up quite a bit while still having utility in other matchups for forcing your opponent to attack. I think it's very, very useful, and so that's why I'm running it at 2. I don't know the ideal ratio between Raiji and Etamon. I'm not going to assume that at the moment. I'll definitely have a lot better insights going into the tournament. I think having some practice in like actual competitive play will give me some better understanding of where this deck can kind of see some weaknesses. But yeah, this is the bottom end. It's a decent chunk of the bottom end. I think it comes out to 14 cards, so definitely not, you know, nothing. But I have cut down on a lot of searchers, so this deck may be a little bit breakier than I would like it to be, unfortunately. Moving on, we've got the Dark Masters package, 4 Piedmon and 4 Machine Dramon, and then 1 Metal Seedramon. So I was running a Puppetmon in this list as well, but realistically, I don't care about getting the Apocalypse out quickly. That's not what this deck is kind of made for. This deck is made for just doing its own thing and getting huge value out of these really powerful level 5s, while challenging your opponents right to the board with super powerful level 6s and valuable aces. So getting the Apocalypse off every game isn't as impactful, and even just going into Apocalypse for 7 memory still I think works out fine with the Pied and the Machine. It doesn't matter too much if you can't reduce the cost down to 3. The cost down to 3 lets you keep turn a lot of the time, which is good, but typically what happens is you pay 7 for the Machine and the Pied. I go underneath the Apocalypse, and you pass turn from anywhere from like 3 to 7, depending on where your memory was at. And then the Apocalypse will place one of your powerful aces or one of the powerful Dark Masters effects underneath it to at least get some value out of it, and then mill 6 cards, which 6 card mill isn't super oppressive, but depending on where you're at in the game, it can still come up, as well as depending on where you're at value-wise, placing a Valkyrie ace or a Vikemon underneath can still just like completely stop your opponent from doing what they need. So rather than treating the Apocalypse like a win condition, I'm treating it more like a value engine that you can kind of make use of using the Dark Masters that you're already using, which is nice. Up next, we're playing 4 Vikemon. Vikemon is really good. It helps stop Agudamon, it helps stop some of the Dark Masters, like the Beelzemon. It's really good against Nume, it's really good against Imperial. It's just the best card, I think, in the deck that we can possibly running. Vikemon is very, very powerful card. It's removal, it stuns your opponent sometimes, it gets past really cumbersome deletion effects. It's just very, very powerful, which is why it's the only ace that we're playing at 4. Hence the one I don't think you should cut any more than that. Up next, 2 Melga Aces. I want to bump this up to 3. I'm not going to lie to you guys. This is a super, super powerful card. And I know that doesn't seem like it. You may be asking, okay, so this is the 2 purple aces that you're playing. You're not playing the Grand Kawagamon, and that's correct. There's only really one good deck in the format that has some tamers, and that being Imperial, and I don't think it's going to be very popular anyways. So I don't think I have to worry too much about the Imperial deck when it comes to that. So I'm just going to kind of assume that's like a really rough matchup and not really tech too hard for it. This is a free level 6 that lets you go into your Ultimate Chaosmon, lets you go into your Zort, it lets you put on some pressure with some good removal, it lets you set up your trash for your Zort really easily, it can steal turns from your opponent. It's really, really good, and I really want to run it at 3, but the deck list is just very, very tight at the moment, and it's hard to find spots to kind of cut things. Onto our next black ace, we've got Mega Gargo Ace. This can be a backbreaker if your opponent never plays around it. I think people have gotten very good at playing around aces, so it's not as impactful, and by the time you're hard dropping an Edamon, Vikemon is usually a little bit better. But still, it comes up pretty consistently. It's also really good for aggression. It's the second most aggressive ace, I think, in our lineup, and it lets us do some really funny plays. The downsides of this is that it doesn't have an on-play effect, so you don't get the benefit of it when it comes to things like Ultimate Chaosmon and stuff, but it still is a blocker, so it's also really good defensively. And then our final ace is a single Valkyrie ace. Searchable in the deck, so I played it. I played 2 of it when I was at 3 Edamon, but now that I cut the Edamon down to 2, I decided to cut the Valkyrie ace down to 1, and it lets me play my alt art. I think Valkyrie ace is a very, very powerful card. If those of you who haven't played against it may not know, but those of you who have, this card is a house. It is game determinative sometimes, and so against a lot of decks in the meta, it feels really good, as well as it is a minimum double checker a lot of the time. Sometimes it triple checks, depending on how your opponent kind of swung the prior turn, and that feels great. It applies so much aggression. In the previous iteration of this deck, we had the Valkyrie ace that could then go swing and then go into the Blitz Omni to swing for another 2 checks, which is super, super good at aggression. We don't play the Blitz Omni anymore. Again, deck list is very tight, and I'm not sure exactly. This deck feels like it's being pulled in a lot of different directions, so it's very hard to kind of find a good spot to place another Blitz Omni. But the Valkyrie ace still felt really good in, I think, a lot of different matchups, and was very, very game warping, so I felt like I had to kind of keep it in. Moving on to our level 7s, we got 4 Omni Zort. Play out 2 8 cost or less black or purple Digimon. That includes some of our aces, that includes all of our level 5s, getting huge value out of them pretty consistently. It's got some removal, deleting a play cost 12 or less unsuspended Digimon by returning a level 6 in this Digimon sources to your hand, which can kind of come up, but it's not super impactful. Most of the time we actually delete this guy at the end of the turn anyways, so it doesn't matter too much. But just getting out that huge amount of value as a swing turn, it feels fantastic. Up next, in our level 7 list, we're playing 2 Ultimate Chaosmon. This card's crazy good. This card, if you see it and are able to get it off, you're usually winning the game unless your opponent has some way to kind of recover. Keeping turn with this is broken because you can go 4 checks immediately every time in this deck, as well as bomb decking 4 of your opponent's Digimon. Really good, really good, really good. I played against a David player, and turn 2 I went into Melga for 3 from 4 memory, or from 5 memory, I can't remember where they put me at exactly. Pitched 3, kept the memory, played out the option, went Melga, and then a Vikemon underneath, and placed 2 of the Megas that I pitched with the Melga underneath, swung in for 4 checks, leaving them at 0 security, and they were in a predicament. They were in quite a predicament. It's a really good card. The problem with it is kind of bricky, and it's also hard to get off naturally unless you have like a level 5 and the opposite color that you need in raising, because you need a purple and a black to be able to get this across, unless you have a Valkyrie ace, in which case you can get the Valkyrie ace in a purple. But yeah, or the Mega Gargo also fills this side of the requirement because it's a black-green, but that's aside from the point. Those ratios don't really come up. Valkyrie ace and Mega Gargo very rarely end board together. On to the end of the Dark Masters line, we've got Buckley. Great. And then on to the last level 7, we got, it's Apocalypse. It's really good. It's really good. It's just a good card. It's really strong. It does what it needs to do. It's super cool. That's it. There's really not much else to say about it. We're playing a Death X as our last level 7. This card's a little weird. It works against Nume, and I think it's gonna be the most popular deck, which is why I ended up running it. I don't think it's very good though, and this is probably what I would cut for the Melga. I think it has Death X has a very awkward position in the current meta, but our deck searches this. Every one of our searchers can grab this card, so I decided to keep it in as a tech card against Nume in case they swarm the board against me. Onto our level 3s. We've got 2 level 3s. Chikuri, Psych. I'm playing one of each. It doesn't matter. They're the exact same card. The only difference is one is purple and one is green. I mean black. What the hell did I just say? One is purple, one is black. This one is data and this one is virus. The data I think is slightly better because it helps you if this card's out for some reason against yellow vaccine. Their Angemons can't bottom deck it or place insecurity or where the fuck they do. I can't remember. Like it can with the Chikuri, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna be honest with you, it really doesn't matter. These two don't matter. It doesn't matter. They're here for one reason only. They're searchable targets with our Wisemon that give us some hope against the the Demon Lord matchup. That's a rough matchup, and so I have to play some kind of floodgates to actually deal with them realistically. On to the Tamers. I think we got 2 Digimon Emperor. We were running at 3. I feel like our deck is already really good against Numemon, and we're trying to make our Demon Lord matchup slightly better. And against Magnamon, this card doesn't really matter too much. It provides some draw, and if you hit it really early, it can slow down your opponent's super good. If you hit 2 really early, it's insane. If you hit 3 really early, at that point it's just excessive and it doesn't really matter. Because by 2, your opponent's never really pushing out security at level 3 anymore. On to our last Tamer, we got 4 Analog Youth. This card is wonderful for searching, wonderful for combo, wonderful for utility. It's just a great card. You promote a Dark Masters last turn, your opponent deletes it, the Dark Masters that had the Zwart defeat that you digivolve on top of that guy. Well, now you get another Deep Reaper that you can promote out to then delete and get another Dark Masters for free without having to actually use stuff. You delete your Zwart, well, you can suspend your Analog Youths to gain that memory back. That 6 cost of work can go down to is 2 costs of work, depending on how many analogs you have, which is super good. They're really cheap Tamer, lets you pass turn for really cheap, rather than giving your opponent a heck of a lot of memory like you normally do. Feels great. And then onto our options, we're playing 2 Mega Digimon Assembly. This is the most common card that you'll be using to get out your guy. Is there a hair in here? There is. What the heck? Where is it? It's on the inside or the outside? It's on the inside. Okay. Anyways, it's the most common way of getting out your Ultimate Chaosmon. It's not searchable, but again, similar to Wise, you can kind of just keep it on top. Finding one of them is pretty consistent. You very rarely need 2 Chaosmon. Sometimes you do, like against Imperial. But aside from that deck, you really only ever need 1, and it usually will win you the game from that. And because you can do it for 4, you can usually keep turn, which feels fantastic. Keeping turn into the Ultimate Chaos and then swinging for 4 checks is backbreaking. And a really funny thing that can happen is if you swing in Mega Digimon Assembly, and then let's say you hit a option card in security, you can trigger your partition, play out 2 black, green, or black, yellow, green, purple Digimon from the sources, and then go right into your second Chaosmon and swing for a game, because it's a DNA Digivolution. And that came up a couple times actually, which feels really good. That's the deck list. Again, I think the worst part about it is that I'm not running through Melga and I'm running a Death X in the slot, but we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it feels, and I'll let you guys know how the tournament goes tomorrow. I will also be streaming it if anyone wants to hop in. You guys can see me go X and 2 in the first 3 rounds, and that'll be fantastic. Or you guys can see me hit top 8 again, potentially, and that'll be really exciting. But thank you guys for watching. I wish you guys the best.